What's up, Strength Foundation team? Welcome back. If you are grinding for your NSCA CPT exam, you know Chapter 21 is a big one. So in this study review, we're going to break down everything you need to know about working with clients who have orthopedic and injury concerns. Let's make sure you absolutely ace this part of the test. Okay, let's dive right in by defining our fundamental role here. When a client comes to you after an injury, your job goes way beyond just making them sweat, right? You become a key player on the recovery team. The whole goal is to design programs that are not only effective, but are incredibly safe and totally customized to their situation. And this is key, always in collaboration with their doctor or physical therapists. Now listen up, because this is a massive exam tip and honestly a career saver. You absolutely, 100% must know your scope of practice. We build fitness programs. We coach movement. We do not diagnose, we don't treat, and we definitely don't prescribe. Stepping outside these lines isn't just unprofessional, it's a huge liability. So the takeaway is simple. Know what you can't do so you can be the absolute best at what you can do.
So here's our game plan for this review session. We're going to lock in our role and scope, then we'll get into classifying injuries, really understand the 3 phases of healing, and most importantly, how to build programs for each phase. Then we'll zoom in on the back and shoulder, 2 areas you'll see all the time, before we wrap it all up with the key takeaways and a practice question.
You know, to really help someone get better, you have to speak the language of recovery. And that starts with understanding how injuries are classified. This is step 1 for building a smart, safe, and effective program.
So injuries are basically split into 2 big buckets. You got macro trauma, that's the sudden oops moment. Think of someone rolling their ankle playing basketball. It's specific, it's sudden. Then you have micro trauma. This one's the sneaky one. It's the overuse injury like tendinitis that just kind of creeps up over time from doing the same thing over and over, often because of stuff we can actually fix, like bad form or a poorly designed program.
Okay, this is your professional vocabulary list right here. You've got to know these for the exam. Here's a little trick. A strain happens to a muscle or a tendon. A sprain happens to a ligament. Got it? And tendinopathy, that's just the big umbrella term for any issue with a tendon, whether it's inflammation or degeneration. Knowing these terms is how you communicate like a pro with doctors and physical therapists.
All right, this next section, this is the absolute blueprint for everything, and I mean everything, we do with a client who's recovering from an injury. These 3 phases of healing are going to dictate our entire strategy.
Every single injury pretty much follows this timeline. First up, you've got the inflammation phase. This can last up to a week. The body's in full-on emergency response mode. Next, the repair phase kicks in. This is where the body starts laying down new collagen fibers, but think of it like a quick, messy patch job. It's not very strong or organized. And finally, we have the remodeling phase. This can last a year or even longer. And this is where we, as trainers, really shine, helping to organize those fibers into strong, healthy, functional tissue.
So what's our job in each phase? Well, during inflammation, it's super simple. Do no harm. We just need to protect the area. Then, in the repair phase, our goal is to introduce some really gentle stress to stop the muscle from wasting away and to encourage the body to build the right kind of tissue. And then, in the remodeling phase, that's when we get to work, using smart, progressive exercises to make that new tissue strong and line it up correctly.
Okay, so let's see how all this comes together. Knowing the theory is one thing, but applying it to real-world programming, well, that's what makes you a great trainer. This is where the rubber meets the road. And this chart just illustrates the whole concept perfectly. Look at this. In the inflammatory phase, what's the only goal? Controlling pain and inflammation. That's it. But as soon as we hit that repair phase, boom, we can start adding in range of motion, some balance work, and very basic strengthening. But notice how that high-level stuff like functional and sports-specific training is saved all the way for the remodeling phase, once the tissue is actually ready to handle it. This chart is your roadmap.
Here are 2 more critical vocab words for your exam: indication and contraindication. It's actually really simple. An indication is a green light. It's something you should do, an exercise that's going to help. A contraindication is a big, flashing red light. It's something you should not do, an exercise that could actually make things worse. Knowing the difference for any injury is absolutely critical for keeping your client safe.
All right, let's bring this into the real world. We're going to talk about 2 of the most common things you are definitely going to see in your career: low back pain and shoulder injuries. First up, the low back.
Before we can even talk about the pain, we got to appreciate the anatomy. You've got the big lumbar vertebrae, you've got those intervertebral discs that act like little shock absorbers, and you've got the facet joints that guide all the movement. When a client says their back hurts, it's usually a problem with one of these specific parts.
This slide is pure gold. It literally tells you what to do and what to avoid based on the client's diagnosis from their doctor. So, for example, if they have a disc injury, which often gets worse when you bend forward, what's the contraindication? Lumbar flexion, bending forward. What's the indication? Prone lumbar extension, like a cobra pose. It's a direct, logical connection. Now let's talk about the shoulder. A super common issue is impingement syndrome. Just look at the anatomy here. You can literally see how those rotator cuff tendons can get pinched in that tiny little space right under the acromion bone. That pinching is what causes the pain and inflammation, especially when someone tries to lift their arm overhead.
So, if a client has impingement, what do we do? Well, first, what do we not do? The chart shows us the contraindications, things like overhead shoulder presses, upright rows, pec deck. These are all exercises that close down that space and make the pinching worse. So instead, our indications are exercises that do the opposite. They open up that space and stabilize the joint. We're talking about strengthening the rotator cuff and working on posture to pull that shoulder back into a better position.
Okay, we have covered a ton of crucial information. Let's do one final rep here, bring it all home with the key takeaways. Here it is, your study checklist for Chapter 21. Seriously, if you can confidently explain each of these 5 points, you are in fantastic shape for this section of the exam. Know your role, know the lingo, know the 3 phases, know how to program for them, and know the specific do's and don'ts for back and shoulder pain. And we're going to end on this quote because it really sums everything up perfectly. Being a great personal trainer is about so much more than just sets and reps. It's about really understanding the human body, respecting the healing process, and using your knowledge to help people get back to doing the things they love safely and effectively. Thanks so much for studying with me today, and I'll catch you in the next review.